start as somebody else does. And can you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Welcome, everybody. And can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. My name is Rick Beyer. I am the president of the Ghost Army Legacy Project, which is a nonprofit dedicated to preserving and honoring the legacy of the World War II deception units known as the Ghost Army. I want to thank the Monroe Township Police Honor Guard that we have on both sides, the American Legion Post 522 Color Guard. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Stephen Delina, who was there, now is there, and the town of Monroe Township for hosting this event, and all of our distinguished guests. And may I say that we have no guest today more distinguished than Seymour Nussenbaum. I'm sure he would argue with me on that, but not today, Seymour, not today. The Congressional Gold Medal awarded to the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, Seymour Nussenbaum's unit, is an honor reserved for a select few recipients. It represents Congress's highest expression of national appreciation for distinguished contributions by individuals or organizations. It was passed by both houses of Congress and signed into law by President Biden on February 1st. Congress has awarded 183 gold medals over the last 250 years. The first of those went to George Washington, General George Washington, not yet president, in 1776 for retaking Boston. And I know you can't see it very well, but the inscription is in Latin. They're in English now, thank goodness. Others have gone to the Wright brothers, Sir Winston Churchill, boxer Joe Louis, and Rosa Parks, all of which I think puts you, Seymour, in pretty darn good company. The first group of World War II soldiers to be honored with the gold medal was the Navajo Code Talkers in 2000. Since then, medals have been awarded to 17 other World War II units or groups, including the Tuskegee Airmen, the WASPs, Women Air Service Pilots, the Doolittle Raiders, the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, and now the World War II deception units known as the Ghost Army. And in the words of the bill, which, by the way, is no longer a bill, it is in fact Public Law 117-85, the United States is eternally grateful to the soldiers of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company for their proficient use of innovative tactics during World War II, which saved lives and made significant contributions to the defeat of the Axis powers. And what were those innovative tactics? Let's take a look.
We were going to be in show business where we set up one-night stands and we'd like ghosts disappear.
The mission was to try to be able to take 1,000 men and put them in so that 15,000 men can move somewhere else and not be detected.
We were told we couldn't tell our wives or anybody about what we did. It was totally secret.
It's amazing the fakery that we were able to perpetrate upon the enemy.
There's a little bundle of stuff, all compressed before you open the bundle, spread the nozzles around, and inflated it.
The artillery piece was good, but that M4 tank, that was the beauty. That was the big piece of work.
Back of my half-track, I tell my children, was the biggest boombox you ever saw. But it played sounds of tanks and activity.
They had recordings of building a pontoon bridge or any type of bridge, and you could hear them hammering away and swerve. And
We were turned loose in town. Go to the pub, order some omelets, and talk loose.
You mean we're asking for the enemy to fire on us? The answer was yes. At that point, we all came to the conclusion that this was a suicide outfit.
And a shell landed in front of us, and then the shell flew over our heads and hit the truck behind us. People probably no more than 20, 30 feet away from me that lost limbs because of shrapnel just falling all over. If you're in the wrong place, you can be dead. If you're in the right place, you can live to be as old as I am. You go up against the best army there is, and the best group of soldiers, and you can dupe them successfully, pat yourself on the back.
There are German records that show that some of the deceptions were taken, hook, line, and sinker. The 23rd did not win the war single-handedly, but I think it would have cost a lot more American casualties had they not been there.
You know you saved lives, you don't know how many you saved, but you know you saved them.
They estimated that we saved between 15 and 30,000 lives with our maneuvers. But you know, even if we don't want to save 15 or 30, it was worth it.
One mother or one new bride was spared the agony of putting a gold star in their front window. That's what the 23rd headquarters is all about.
Let me say a few words about Seymour, and Roy's going to say more a little bit later, my friend Roy Eichhorn. This Brooklyn-born artist took a course in camouflage offered by the U.S. Army at Pratt Institute. I went in the wrong direction. Before enlisting at age 19 in 1943. He ended up in the 603rd Camouflage Engineers. That's the visual deception arm of the 23rd. These are the guys using the inflatable tanks and artillery and trucks to fool the enemy, to fool enemy aerial reconnaissance. Along with his friend Bernie Bluestein, with whom he recently connected after 70 plus years, and I don't know if you can see it, but I circled both their faces in this picture. Seymour worked in the 603rd's factory section. His job was to help crank out counterfeit divisional shoulder patches to use in the deceptions. And these are a few of them taken from his World War II scrapbooks. He estimates that he and his fellow soldiers created 40,000 fake patches. 77 years ago today, Seymour and his comrades had just finished up their final deception mission. Their job had been to fool the Germans about where American troops would cross the Rhine River. Operation Viersen employed hundreds of inflatables, plus sound, radio, and other tricks. It turned out to be their biggest and most successful operation. With a great sense of drama, Seymour, you guys saved the best for last. This mission alone likely saved thousands of lives and helped speed the end of the war. So Seymour, we are thrilled to be here today to honor you as one of the 9 surviving members of this extraordinary World War II deception unit, the Ghost Army, that has been awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. Now, that medal has officially been awarded, but it's not minted yet. Let's keep in mind it's the U.S. government working on this. So that's a process that will take 18 months to 2 years, seriously. So we have no medal in hand today. Bummer, but that's not going to stop us from honoring you. And I think there's a bunch of people who are desperately waiting for me to stop talking so that they can get up here and say a few words of their own. And I'm going to start with our host today, the mayor of Monroe Township, Stephen DeLino.
Words going to really capture? Wow. As mayor of Monroe Township, it's my job and my duty to talk about the treasures that we have here in our town. And it's usually we talk about our amenities, our buildings, the library, our EMS services. But the true treasure are the people of Monroe Township. And what do we have here? A treasure for Monroe Township, a treasure for the family that is here, a treasure for the friends. But what he did, a treasure to the world. Thank you. So, long ago in my undergraduate career, I was a history major. And, you know, what do history majors like to learn about? They like to learn about war, right? That's always the sexy and exciting and appealing. Sobering, but that was always what kind of sold history. And I do recall Operation Fortitude and codenamed Bodyguard. And for me, when I learned that as an undergrad, it was the deception in Great Britain prior to D-Day. Just recently, thanks to Rick and our treasurer here, now I know a little bit more about what they did and how secret it was and classified. So, amazing. We all talk about currently fake news. Well, fake warfare saved tens of thousands of lives. And that's to be commendable. So it is my honor and my privilege to read a proclamation from the office of the mayor to Seymour Nussenbaum and the Ghost Army. Whereas, during World War II, in the European Theater of Operations, the American GIs of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133 Signal Service Company, also known as the Ghost Army, wielded creativity and illusion to fool the German army on the battlefields of Europe, and whereas, employing inflatable tanks and artillery, radio deception, sound equipment, and impersonation, Ghost Army soldiers contrived to confound Hitler's legions about where actual Allied fighting units were. They carried out more than 20 top-secret deception missions, risking their lives to divert enemy attention from real operations and save thousands of lives. And whereas Private Seymour Nussenbaum served in the 603rd Camouflage Engineers, the visual deception arm of the 23rd that worked with the inflatable tanks and trucks. An artist, he took camouflage classes at Pratt Institute before enlisting in the Army. As part of the deception efforts, he worked in the 603rd's factory section, cranking out fake divisional patches to use in the deceptions. He estimates that he and his fellow soldiers created 40,000 fake patches, and whereas at war's end, he went to work creating 2 detailed scrapbooks of his sketches and memorabilia from the war. They are now part of the Ghost Army collection at the National World War II Museum. And whereas he graduated from Hofstra University with a BA degree in history, that's a good one, political science. Whereas in 1949, Seymour married his wife Vera, a German Jew who escaped the Holocaust by leaving in the Kindertransport in 1938. Vera passed away in 2016, and whereas Congress has honored Seymour Nussenbaum and his fellow comrades in arms by awarding the Congressional Gold Medal to these units, collectively known as the Ghost Army, for their unique and highly distinguished service during World War II. The President signed this into legislation in law on February 1st, 2022. Now therefore, I, Stephen Delina, honored Mayor of the Township of Monroe, do hereby proclaim March 22nd as Seymour Nusabong Day in Monroe Township. We honor and thank Mr. Nusabong for his service to our country and our community. Bless you.
Can we, actually, Mayor Delana, can we get a picture of you, Ms. Seymour, presenting this? I think that you can.
So our problem, the last time Seymour had his picture taken so much was his wedding. So let's see if we can do that again.
There's a few of us who want this, so. Thank you. I'm going to ask next to come up Casey. Are you here? Casey Dross from Senator Cory Booker's office to say a few words, and he's got something for you, Seymour, as well. And I want to add that Senator Booker and Senator Menendez were both co-sponsors of this bill, and we're very grateful for their support on this.
Good morning. Thank you so much for allowing us to participate in today's ceremony, and thank you, sir, for your service. Senator Booker unfortunately could not make it today, but he did ask me to present a letter from him on behalf of New Jersey and our constituents for your service. As a personal note, I'm going to continue the theme here, as a historian myself, I'm also an Army veteran, and I taught military history at West Point, and I've done research on, PhD research on World War II. You know, very much in awe and in appreciation for what you have done. I just do want to add that the mayor mentioned the scrapbooks that Seymour put together and that have been donated. They are just extraordinary documents that will allow for future generations to continue to learn, to study, and to appreciate the experiences of Seymour and others during World War II. So it's a treasure that you have provided for future generations, sir, and we do appreciate that. So again, I do want to read a letter from Senator Booker. Dear Seymour, it is a pleasure and an honor to recognize your exemplary service during World War II as a Ghost Army veteran and to celebrate the Ghost Army's accomplishments as it receives the Congressional Gold Medal. I am grateful to join with your family, your community, and your fellow veterans in honoring your commitment to service and protection of our democracy. Today, we celebrate your accomplished record of service with the United States Army's 603rd Camouflage Engineer Battalion, 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, known as the Ghost Army. Through your expertise in camouflage and deception operations, you helped to end the war in Europe, saving lives and alleviating suffering. You carried yourself with pride and you served with courage and honor. Although no words can repay the immense debt of gratitude that we owe you and your loved ones, please know that a grateful nation stands to pay tribute for all that you have done on behalf of its people. Without the dedication of our troops and the sacrifices of their families, we would not be able to enjoy the freedoms that make the United States of America so exemplary. Please accept my heartfelt appreciation for your many sacrifices that have not only kept us safe, but continue to inspire us. Once again, congratulations. I look forward to celebrating your continued success. Sincerely, Cory A. Booker, United States Senator.
Casey, you have to pose too.
Yes, yes.
You get the idea now, right? we're putting yeah, let me put this one there too. I want them all in one place. Jeremy, you want to come up? Jeremy Julis is from Senator Menendez's office, and so he's got a presentation to make to Seymour as well.
Thank you, Rick. How do I get start? I'm the Director of Constituent Services for Senator Menendez, and part of my job is to go to events, incredible events like this, and meeting amazing people, and Seymour, you're one of the people I get to meet, so I truly have the best job in the world going to events like this, and I just wanted to present you a couple goodies. So first we'll start off with a flag that was flown over the Capitol in your honor. So it reads, "This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol in honor of Seymour Nussenbaum at the request of U.S. Senator Robert Menendez." I also have a certificate of special Senate recognition presented to Seymour Nussenbaum in recognition of receiving the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal and being a part of the greatest generation. I mean, what else can I say? You're an amazing human being, and it's an honor to meet you, and I'm just so happy to be here on behalf of the Senator. Thank you so much, everyone.
Seymour, just be glad that everybody doesn't have to use a flash for each of these photos. You'd be blind by now. Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman could not be here today, and I just want to reference her by saying, Seymour, that she did also, I'm not going to read it, but she did a proclamation for you as well from the House of Representatives in recognition of the gold medal, and I'll just show it to you so there you can see it. And you can read it when you get home, and then for anybody who cares, that's the Representative Watson-Coleman. I'll wait. One of the reasons that the Ghost Army was awarded a Congressional Gold Medal is the tireless work done by my friend, founding board member of the Ghost Army Legacy Project, Roy Eichhorn, who was my lobbying partner, mentor, soulmate for 7 years. We strolled the halls of the Capitol. We complained to each other over the phone about frustrations in the process, but together with some of the other people here, with many other people who aren't here today, helped get this gold medal for Seymour. And I know that that's very dear and near to Roy's heart, so I want to give Roy a chance to say a little bit about Seymour and about this process as well. Seymour back to you.
First off, thank you all for being here to honor Seymour. I want to read two excerpts from letters that Seymour is receiving. The first is from Senator Ed Markey. Senator Markey was one of the bill's original sponsors in the Senate. He says, "I am proud that your unit's dedication and bravery will now be known by millions of Americans today and for generations to come." The next is from an excerpt from Representative Ann Custer, the bill's originator in the House of Representatives, and really the driving force behind the bill. A wonderful person. You all used your creative talents to save lives and change the course of this country and the world. Your actions are an important part of our nation's history that needs to be remembered. And I have these here. Give you a moment. Those are the whole letters.
Right, you have to post it. You have to post it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Watch everyone else do it. Yeah, you have to post it. Far right.
Rick has given you a bit of an overview. I want to give you a few bits about the Ghost Army from Seymour's vantage point. Seymour started dealing with the Army's limits early. Trust me, I spent 32 years with the Department of the Army. There are limits. At Fort Meade, he regularly volunteered for extra duty in exchange for a 24-hour pass. Well, some soldiers would use a pass like that to blow off steam in a bar. Seymour took the train to Washington, in the Library of Congress, where he studied flags from all over the world. He researched and painted those flags and included references to each, and they are truly amazing pieces of both research and art, because every one of them is on a card about that big, and they're perfect. When the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops was formed in January of 1944, Seymour and the 603rd moved to Camp Forest in Tennessee. Again, Seymour took advantage of where he was and in his spare time explored the area, including some of the Civil War sites. These are from Seymour's scrapbook. Wherever Seymour went, he tried to get the most out of the experience. Now, I'm going to jump to the Ghost Army in operation. One of the things a lot of people don't necessarily know is the rhythm of Army operations. Units move up, they fight or support the fight, and then they move back to rest, refit, retrain. Seymour's unit was different. On average, a soldier in the European theater spent 21 days up front. That's it. The Ghost Army ran that many operations, 21, actually 22. And that means if the Ghost Army was portraying tanks, say, or soldiers moving up, the deceivers had to do everything the enemy expected. So Seymour and the rest of his comrades would be out there in pup tents working on fake tanks so that somebody looking at the inflatable tanks, which are mostly camouflaged, they see the soldiers doing what the soldiers should do. Seymour and his comrades spent months living on the ground in pup tents in whatever the weather was. Pup tents, by the way, at that time had no floor. To spend so much time cold, wet, and dirty while you're doing your job is to be truly miserable. You don't wash your face because it makes the rest of you feel that much dirtier. You learn to sleep standing up by getting in a small circle and leaning in on each other. You also learn to take advantage of even short lulls to get sleep, and you become an expert with cat. In setting up their deceptions, the Ghost Army always had to move into or through towns that the Nazis had recently left. To see what might be going on, they would send in just one Jeep to see what would happen. That's like casting bait. So picture this. 4 soldiers armed collectively with 1 submachine gun and 3 M1 carbines go in each time not knowing what they're going to face. A sniper, a die-hard German soldier, or even part of a German unit that's been cut off. Imagine the anxiety. I tell you this because on many occasions, Seymour and 3 of his buddies from the headquarters company were the guys in the Jeep. So Seymour was up front, going into each of these towns, finding out if anybody was going to shoot. I'm glad you made it. Seymour sometimes drew assignments away from the main unit. That can be very lonely, and he missed seeing some of the famous people that his fellows got to enjoy. One was the German actress Marlene Dietrich, who performed for the troops, And a visitor at that time was Major Ted Geisel. Major Geisel is pretty well known. He was known at the time, and in fact, CNN just had a little spot on him yesterday in a thing called America First. The rest of you also know Major Geisel, but you know him as Dr. Seuss. So Seymour missed Dr. Seuss. While in Luxembourg, Seymour looked at all the talented people in the unit, theater people, the musicians, set designers, and he organized a satirical revue called the Blarney Breakdance. The soldiers wrote songs and skits poking fun at the Army and did a full-up professional production with set decoration, lights, music, sound, whole bit. So imagine Saturday Night Live being put up on the fly, not far from the front. Now, here are a couple of pictures from the Blarney Breakdowns, again from Seymour's scrapbook. And you'll see here 603 Echo Mike 209 and the date. Keep an eye out for that. I'll explain why.
And can I interrupt you? Did you say that Seymour wrote a lot of those shows? Did you say that?
No.
I'm going to say that Seymour wrote and stage managed, I think, a lot of that. Sorry. That's helping.
Okay, so these are just a few highlights. What does that mean when somebody finishes and ends with the war? Where did he go now? The young 19-year-old artist from Brooklyn is now the 22-year-old old soldier who came ashore on Omaha Beach, went across France and saw what the war was about. From there he went into Luxembourg, where he found out that Luxembourgish and Yiddish are mutually intelligible. I never thought about that when I was in Luxembourg. I couldn't understand a word they said. And then he went on to Germany to witness the final defeat of the Nazis. When he came home, Seymour found the same challenges others faced when they returned. As the Army saying goes, after change, things are different. Seymour spent time organizing his photos and notes into those two huge scrapbooks that have been mentioned and that are now in the National World War II Museum. And then he got on with life. He was energetic, continued learning and perfecting his art. He was also probably more assertive, able to see things from different perspectives, willing to try new things, and not able to be easily intimidated. He also married Vera and had his two daughters and raised his family. So all this is going on and the Army fades in the background. But Seymour and his comrades kept the secrets of the Ghost Army. They kept it so well that the Army itself lost all knowledge of it. So for decades, 50 years, they kept it quiet and didn't tell anybody. And that's why people don't know about all this stuff going on. Okay, so I mentioned that photograph. My stepfather served in the 603rd Engineer Battalion with Seymour throughout the war, both from Fort Meade on through the end. And he would have enjoyed this, really would have. Not for himself, but for the recognition that his fellow soldiers are finally getting. My dad was an artist, and he was also the official photographer for the battalion, and that's one of the pictures that he took was of the Blarney Breakdance. That's why I pointed out on the edge all of the negatives that are included that way. I have here something a little special. There have been several references to these. This is one of the 40,000 fake divisional patches that Seymour made. Can't read his name on it. I don't think he signed it. But my dad wore this patch as he was impersonating an infantry soldier from the 79th Division as part of Operation Pearson at the crossing of the Rhine. If my dad were here, he would have said, "Congratulations, Seymour." Finally, the President of the United States asks that I give you this. Okay, I haven't talked to him personally for a while, but the people that work for him at the White House did it. It is sealed, but we can open this.
draft numbers.
He's got a knife. Wait, he's got a knife. He is a professional. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying you're a
Professional stamp collector.
How many hundreds of volumes of your stamp collection? How many hundreds of volumes of stamps? 160.
Volumes.
Volumes, right. You know this.
Hold it up.
So,
That's the president's sign.
narrate. It's a copy of the bill with the president's signature. There's a photo of the president signing the bill, and somewhere in there, there's also a letter from the president.
That's not a generic photo, that is for building sign. Of course.
He did forensic analysis. I think there's a... I wouldn't bet my money on that.
Looks good.
But it looks good. Let's leave it at that. Roy, thank you very much. Don't lose the... So we're almost done. Relax. It's not going to run too much longer. I just want to say that I asked Richard Bart, who is the chairman of the Ghost Army Legacy Project, and who has been tremendously supportive over the years in the efforts to tell the story of the Ghost Army. And I'm so honored that he has been involved both with the documentary film I made and with this project. Richard, would you like to come up and say a few words?
I thought I would try to tie up a couple of the themes that we've had today. First, I too was a history major. But we are here talking about an occasion in history, and that is one of the things that first sucked me into this when Rick started working on the film. And you haven't seen it yet, make sure you do. Check the Ghost Army. But one of the things that's important, looking at the past, but also looking at the future, these little snapshots that we have, these little things that we take with us in order to tell the story of our country, of the efforts that ordinary people do every day to sort of move things forward. My stepfather was born in 1915, and he used to say that his earliest actual memory was seeing people collect peach pits to make gas masks for World War I. And the efforts of that stuck with him as a way throughout his career later as a journalist to take little pictures and use them to illustrate big things. That's what he went on to do. We've heard about the scrapbooks, and they're in the World War II Museum in New Orleans now. We saw the picture of Engineer Seymour's scrapbooks headed with his name, his serial number, and the simple title, My Life in the Army. You go through those, you can see them at the World War II Museum, but you can also, if you go to ghostarmylegacyproject.org, see some examples of pages from the scrapbooks on the web. And so they're not just a piece of history, but they're available for people to see, not just as someone commented, the study of big battles, but what real people did day to day to day in the grinding work that is necessary in every detail that was necessary for World War II. We've heard about the particular efforts that were made and that Seymour in particular did. This is an excerpt from the scrapbook where he made a little note, probably writing to posterity, so people would be able to know, historians and interested folks would be able to know for the future what went on. Here's Seymour's words. About this time is as good as any to explain what the outfit was doing overseas. Up to now, I know it looks as if all we did was go sightseeing. Well, we did our share of that too, but we also had a mission, and an important one, I think. It was our job, through the use of rubber items, false shoulder patches, bumper markings, and road signs and other paraphernalia, to deceive the enemy into thinking we were a certain outfit. While we moved into an area, the outfit we were simulating moved to another spot secretly. The 4 line companies of the 603, part of H&S Company, and the other outfits of the 23rd, went on all these problems, as they were called. All in all, there were 21 such missions, first being in July 1944, and the last in April 1945. We were instrumental in the final capture of such places as Saint-Lô, Brest, Metz, and the final crossing of the Rhine at Wesel, with so few casualties. While the outfit was out on missions, the factory section, of which I was part, stayed back to hold our billets, to keep the dummies in repair, and I think he means like the dummies, not me, and to manufacture false shoulder patches for subsequent missions. Following are some of the 40,000 patches made by the factory, and then very modestly, you put in parentheses, helped by myself. We saw one of those 40,000 patches, right? Pretty cool, huh? So, there it is. It happened. World War II was real, and you can sort of see it at a distance and so forth, but if you really want to get into it, you have to touch this material and read it and understand that it was done by people like this. And we have him here, we're so lucky to have him here, so we can relive that story right now. I want to finish with a comment about why we all think this is so important. Thomas Jefferson was also a student of history. And later in his life, he liked to collect books and trade tales with his rival from previous, decades, John Adams. And he wrote to him once, sending him a particular pamphlet about a subject that had to do with an aspect of just before the French Revolution. And he talks about sending it to Adams, why it's important. And he says the following. I have lately received a pamphlet of extreme interest from France. It is Duprat's historical recital of the first return of Louis XVIII to Paris. It is precious for the minutiae of the proceedings, which it records in detail, and for their authenticity as being from an eyewitness. Being but a pamphlet, I enclose it for your perusal, assured, if you have not seen it, that it will give you pleasure. I will ask its return because I value as a morsel of genuine history, of things so rare as to be always valued. We have here a genuine morsel of history. Thanks for coming.
I'm going to ask everybody to stand.
We can live. And up.
Each of you to read the colors.
Flag bearers, read the colors. And salute.